The ROG Phone 8 and Phone 8 Pro have finally dropped, and we have one right here in my hand to show off. We're going to unveil it, talk about the specs, and just dive on in.
Yes. All right. So for years, the ROG Phone has been the pinnacle of mobile gaming power. And this year, it's gone through some changes. It's growing up. It's a big boy phone. We basically redesigned the lineup this year with your feedback at the center of everything that we were doing, right? So we made a list of all the stuff that people had been asking for throughout the last 6 ROG phones that we made. You guys wanted better cameras, a slimmer design with better water resistance, and more features like wireless charging that have become kind of ubiquitous in the past few years, but hadn't made it to the ROG Phone yet. So we did all of that. Let's start by talking about the new design. Jake, show this bad boy off.
We got it right here.
It's thin. Do you have your 5S with you, by chance?
It's right over here. Let me grab it.
See if you can grab it. So the new ROG Phone 8. I want to show this kind of in comparison to the previous design. This is not last year's phone, but the 5S is from a couple years ago. But it's similar to the phone since. The ROG Phone 8 is 9% lighter and 15% thinner, which seems like a small amount. But when you're talking about something that's only a few millimeters, that it's very noticeable when you're holding it in your hands. This is going to take up only 8.9 millimeters of space in your pocket. So you can see that it's a similar height, but if you were to put them side by side, yeah, it is noticeably thinner.
And a lot flatter is something that makes a big difference to me, right? The back of this is like perfectly flat except for the camera bump out, which a case will solve if that's something that bothers you. This is much more round and much more slippery, honestly. The 5S, it's a nice phone, but the 8 is...
I love my 5S. I do like the matte finish on the new one. It's going to show less like fingerprints and things like that. And that display, which we'll talk about in a minute, is so cool on the Pro.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we did is that we shrunk the bezels on the side by 14%, and we shrunk the bezels along the top and bottom by a whopping 71%. Like, the bezels are gone, which actually, if you put the two phones side by side, it actually, instead of making the screen bigger, because the screen was already enormous on this thing, right? It's a 6.7-inch screen. What we did is actually we were able to shrink the size of the phone, the height of the phone, a little bit by getting rid of those bezels, which is nice because the ROG Phone is sizable. The screen was a good size, but any smaller you can make it to kind of fit in your pocket is perfect. So, and of course, we did all of that while keeping our iconic air trigger capacitive buttons on the top and bottom. So it's got these little like kind of touch sensors along the top and bottom that you can use for triggers in your game. You can map that to controls in your game. And we added IP68 water resistance without getting rid of the headphone jack. I'm so tired of hearing manufacturers say like, "Oh, we had to get rid of the headphone jack because of water resistance." No, you didn't.
Not an argument anymore. Not only do we have a headphone jack, we've got the USB-C and the other USB-C. What's your excuse, everyone else?
Yeah, so that other USB-C is if you want to plug in while you're gaming, but you're holding your phone in landscape mode, you can charge it from the bottom, which is nice. The cord is getting in the way of your hands.
We have this attachment here. It's a cooler.
We have that. I was going to talk about that later, but we can't.
Yeah, well, when we talk about the USB-C, yeah, that's definitely a selling point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We'll come back. We'll come back.
It does plug into the USB-C on the bottom. So let's maybe pull up the product page for a minute here, and we'll come. Actually, no. First, hold on. So before we get to that, the standard ROG Phone 8 comes in 2 colors: Rebel Gray and Phantom Black, with a quad LED ROG logo on the back. That's RGB, which you can customize with different lighting patterns and stuff through Armory Crate. But what I want to show off before we go to this product page, you can see how that looks there, is the ROG Phone 8 Pro, instead of that RGB light, comes with a more unique Anime Vision display. So this is going to be familiar to those of you who have used our Zephyrus laptops. Instead of having holes on the front, it actually shines through the matte back of the phone, which is super cool. 341 programmable mini LEDs that shine through the back of the phone there. So then you can customize that with a bunch of different animations and images. We've preloaded the phone with something like 20 animations to choose from, plus a few secret ones hidden in the system for those who know how to get them. Hint, I know you can get one by finding someone else with an ROG Phone 8 Pro and touching the phones back to back. See what
What?
happens. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of the design. It feels really nice in your hand. I was using this phone before I sent it over to Jake. I personally love it. I think it's a really, really nice evolution of the ROG Phone. It's not giving up a ton of the really crucial features that make the ROG Phone what it is, like those air triggers, like that USB port on the bottom. All of that stuff is still there. It's still a gaming first phone, but it has some of those other features like we talked about that give it a bit more kind of daily driver status, I think. So let's talk a little bit about performance, because I think that's the other reason most people go with the ROG Phone over something else. It would not be an ROG Phone without best-in-class hardware for gaming. So this model uses the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 mobile platform. So that's comes with 30% faster CPU performance and 35% faster GPU performance than the previous model. And even when you compare it to other phones with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, the ROG Phone 8 can reach higher levels of performance because of our X mode, our exclusive X mode, which you can enable an armoury crate that boosts performance, and then also the cooling system that we've built into this thing. So we should have that on this page somewhere. It has this really cool exploded view of all of the different layers that we have built into this phone for cooling capabilities. So we've got a vapor chamber in there. We've got 2 graphite sheets. We've got boron nitride. Like, it's everything inside this phone is built to keep that chip as cool as possible, particularly when you're gaming for long periods. Now, that is where the AeroActive Cooler X comes in. You can see it in this picture. Jake showed it off before. This is a separate accessory. It comes in certain bundles of the ROG Phone 8 Pro, but it's also sold separately if you want to get it for your ROG Phone 8. You can snap that onto the back of your phone. It plugs in the bottom, and it has a built-in thermoelectric cooling chip and a dedicated fan. This thing is crazy. This isn't like a moderate boost to cooling. This thing can drop temperatures by up to 28 degrees Celsius. And in fact, Jake, weren't you telling me that last year when they were developing this model that they had to tone it back because it was cooling the phone too much?
Yep. That was an actual thing with the previous iteration of this cooler, because it was actually dropping the temperature too much.
Yeah. So they've really dialed it in to the sweet spot there. And the other cool thing is that it gives you some physical triggers on the back. So it kind of makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold. And then you have some actual physical buttons, L and R buttons, that you can use to map to certain controls in your game and get a little bit better control over different titles. So it is a cool little feature. Still fits in your bag really comfortably.
The physical buttons on it are nice too. Like, if you wanted something a little bit more tactile than the air triggers, this makes it feel like more of a gaming handheld because you get those physical buttons on the AeroActive Cooler. So it's quite cool. Literally.
Yep. Yes, literally. Very cool feature. And again, so that comes with certain bundles. Now, the other difference between the ROG Phone 8 and the ROG Phone 8 Pro. So you can get the ROG Phone 8 with up to 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM and up to 512 gigs of UFS 4.0 ROM storage. The ROG Phone 8 Pro is available in that same configuration, but there's a higher end model that has up to 24 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. And that model actually comes in a bundle with the AeroActive Cooler. So you can kind of decide how much RAM and storage you want in your phone. It depends on how much video you plan on taking, how many games you plan on installing, all of that kind of stuff, how long you want it to last in the future. 24 gigs of RAM, gonna last you a long time. Yeah, you're gonna be good. My favorite feature of the ROG Phone, though, and I think you're with me on this, Jake, is the battery. Am I right?
The double battery? That's so cool.
Yes. So we've got a dual cell battery, and it charges like both cells evenly and separately, which prolongs the battery health over the long term. On this model, I mean, and the battery just lasts forever. Like, that's the other thing about the ROG Phone. My ROG Phone 5S lasts days. On this model, the battery can charge from 0 to 100% in only 39 minutes. 39 minutes. That's so fast.
Yeah, it has this like hypercharging thing, which actually when you plug it in to charge it, it doesn't just show you like it's gone up by 1%. It actually shows you the decimal. So you just see it actively climbing like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 when you plug it in. And it'll do that up to 50%, I believe. But like, it's so satisfying to watch that battery number climb because it goes up fast.
Yep. Yeah. Ironically, I find that I need that more on phones with crappy battery life than the ROG phone because the ROG phone lasts so long and it's not that big of a deal. But if you're gaming a lot, that is really handy because you might be draining the battery faster than a typical day where you're not gaming. So it's nice to have all of those options. And then of course you have wireless charging as well when you just want to top it off or you're charging overnight or whatever. Oh yes, it comes with this little case too, which is cool.
Yeah. Right in the
box. Of course, there will also be third-party options.
I'm waiting for the Devil case personally.
The Devil case, yeah. Did we partner with them on that?
Yep, it's on the official Asus store. The Asus eShop has it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. So 0 to 139 minutes, and then it can last up to 17 hours of regular usage. Like if you're just scrolling Instagram, you can do that for 17 hours straight. Or if you're playing,
you shouldn't, but you can.
I don't recommend it for your mental health. But and then if you're gaming, I think we tested like 3.42 hours of gameplay in Genshin Impact. So that's pretty solid. But then of course you can plug in on that bottom port and play forever while you're plugged in. So
and a lot of people are primarily phone gamers, right? And if you're a phone gamer and you want to do game streaming, that second port is just such a critical essential to have. Say that you're playing Pokemon Unite and you're a full-time Pokemon Unite streamer. What are you doing? Get an ROG phone. Seriously, you're going to have a better time.
That port on the bottom is so nice.
Yeah.
Like every time, like if I try to game on my regular phone and I plug in from the side, I'm like, where does my hand go? Like the ROG phone it's
the best.
Killer for that. So let's talk about the cameras. The cameras, it's probably one of the biggest upgrades on the ROG Phone 8. This was a big request from the community because they wanted it to not just be a gaming phone, but be a daily driver competitive with other flagships in every area. So we have 3 lenses in the new ROG Phone 8. We've got one main camera with a 50 megapixel IMX890 image sensor and 2x lossless zoom, a 13 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a 32 megapixel telephoto camera that has 3x optical zoom and 10x what we call hyper clarity zoom. Now, here's what I think is particularly special about this. Zenfone people or people who've watched Zenfone reviews will know about this. The main camera also uses our 6-axis hybrid gimbal stabilizer 3.0. So it's one of the reasons the cameras kind of jump out a little bit more is because it's got that stabilizer built in, and the video from this is so freaking smooth. It is unlike video I have taken on any other phone. And if you've seen reviews of the Zenfone 10, like how into this reviewers were. It is completely unique. I love it. And now it's finally on the ROG Phone 8 too. So it Big is deal. Yeah. The photos from this are excellent. Definitely recommended. Kai Green says, about the notch, I assume you mean the camera, the hole punch camera. Can it be hidden? So in games, yes. Let's talk about the display. The other thing that makes a gaming phone, apart from all of the other features we mentioned, like air triggers and X mode, to me is the display. It's a 6.78 inch display, so quite sizable, right? Really nice when you're gaming. It's an AMOLED screen capable of, wait for it, 2,500 nits of peak brightness and up to a 165 hertz refresh rate.
Oh, it gets so bright. It gets so bright.
2,500 nits and 165 hertz.
My camera doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know how to look at it. Like, it's honestly just like, there's too much light. Let me just try this camera. No, it's still like, yeah, it's incredibly bright, which is phenomenal. You want that option, especially when you're outdoors.
Yes. Yep. So if you're watching like HDR content, that's awesome. But then also if you're gaming outdoors, yeah, you want to be able to see that screen. So really high refresh rate for super smooth motion. The touch sampling rate is 720 hertz. So that screen is going to be super responsive. And it uses Gorilla Glass Victus 2, which protects it against drops, even on rough surfaces like concrete. Like that's the latest version of Gorilla Glass that's designed to really withstand those drops.
Disclaimer, now, do not throw your phone on the ground.
Yeah. Don't do that. I don't, unless you're the Will It Blend guy, please don't. The flashlight is usually on the back of the phone, Quarky2 says. Now you've got it both places. So to answer your earlier question about the hole punch, now with Armory Crate, you can customize how your games fit on that screen. So you can fill the entire screen, the entire width of the phone, that full 6.7H display. You can shift it to the right to fill everything except the part with the hole punch. So if you're willing to give up like that tiny bit of horizontal space just because the hole punch bothers you, you can set up your games to play that way. And then also you can have it centered for a more kind of classic experience with like digital bezels on the side. So it's really up to you how you want to game on this. We have a lot of options in Armory Crate for configuring all of those little things. And yeah, that to me, we're PC gamers here. We like options, right? And so we put that stuff into our phones as well.
I mean, you got controls for touch responsiveness, refresh rate, all those things, and even libraries for 165 hertz games, 120 hertz games, because you might want to test out your phone's full capability, and so we suggest some games like Brawl Stars.
I like that we have that database there. Yeah, for sure. I am a big fan of Dead Cells. If you guys want a fun game that is available on mobile, awesome. It's available on console and PC too, but fun game on the go. We often get asked about carrier compatibility, so I just want to lay this out as well. In the US, it's compatible with GSM networks, including AT&T, T-Mobile, and MVNOs that use AT&T and T-Mobile. So like I'm on Cricket Wireless, which is an AT&T MVNO. T-Mobile MVNOs like Mint Mobile and all of those should work as well. It is not compatible with CDMA networks such as Verizon and US Cellular. So if you're on that carrier, the ROG Phone 8 is not going to be compatible. It is, however, available now for a special early bird price. Jake, can you pull up the where to buy page? Just because I want to make sure that I get this right. This early bird price was originally just for pre-orders, but it is still available, and I don't know how long this sale is going to last. So definitely grab it while you can. It's $100 off the regular ROG Phone 8. If you get the ROG Phone 8 Pro bundle with the AeroActive Cooler, I think that's the 16 gig version that you can buy. You can get the AeroActive Cooler separately, but bundled with it at the same time. That's a weird way to say it. Click the Buy Now button there, up at the top.
Buy now.
This is gonna make more sense if I show it than if I try to explain it. So yeah, $9.99 right now. That's $100 off. But if you go down, you'll see a few different SKUs. So this is the regular ROG Phone 8. If you buy the Pro 16 gig model there, and you scroll down, you'll be able to bundle that with the... Wait, where'd it go? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
You might be.
I might be.
This is different. This is a different page.
Okay. So if you go to this page that's linked there in the red text, you'll get an option to buy the ROG Phone 8 Pro with the AeroActive Cooler X, usually $100 add-on for $0.
That's
the other.
That's huge. Yeah,
that's the other sale right now. If you buy the ROG Phone 8 Pro with the 24 gigs of RAM, that just comes bundled with the AeroActive Cooler X, like always. Like that SKU always comes bundled. The 16 gig, you can choose to bundle it or not for $100, but right now that $100 is $0, so definitely bundle it. And then the regular ROG Phone 8 is $100 off, both for the Phantom Black and the Rebel Gray version. So yeah, it's, again, I don't know how long this is going to last, so grab it now. But I am really excited for this phone. Are you going to daily drive this for a bit, Jake?
I am.
I'm hyped.
As soon as I get a new case. I haven't put my SIM card in it yet. I'm waiting for. I need a nice fat case because I don't trust myself.
I used to go caseless, but I eventually.
Yeah. This is not my property. This is property of Asus. I do not want to break it.
That's what it really is for me. When I get a phone from work, I got to put it in the case because if I drop it, that's really embarrassing for me to have to go to IT or my boss or someone and be like, I broke your phone. So,
yeah, I don't want to be that guy.
All right, guys. As always, this is just part of our show. If you want to see the full stream with even more content, subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channels. We stream this show, ROG Pulse, every Thursday. We do walkthroughs, other guides, unboxings, but we also do game streams on Twitch. You're going to be streaming some games with the ROG phone maybe this week, next week, right?
Yep, next week.
Yeah. So come follow us on Twitch if you don't already. We do a lot of stuff there that isn't on YouTube. You can also follow us on social media. You can join our Discord, all in the link description of this video. It's a great way to stay up to date with the latest news, announcements, giveaways, and things like that. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.